In this lecture, we will see what is threading in message flows. Later, we will see how we can manage these threads using WebUI. In ACE, message flows are single threaded by default. One message flow is run by one thread, and every message flow runs with only one instance. For each instance, one operating system thread will be assigned. By default, single thread is assigned to a message flow instance. Suppose in your project, message flow needs concurrent execution. It wants to execute multiple transactions parallelly. In that case, we need to configure multi-threading. To achieve that, we need to use additional instances option in the message flow. If you add additional instances, the total threads becomes 1 plus additional instances. This is the by default thread. Suppose you added additional instances 6. The total threads becomes 7 here. 1 plus 6, 7. Each message flow instance processes messages independently. Multiple instances can run in parallel at the same time. This is most effective for IO bound workloads like waiting for HTTP responses or waiting for the DB response. So in that case, no need to wait that instance to the other transactions. That transaction will be handled by the different instance independently. Here you can see in the additional instances, we have instance 2, instance 3, instance 4. Each is handling different messages independently of each other. A message flow instance executes the entire flow logic sequentially. Here flow logic means set of nodes. It can be HTTP input node, compute node, HTTP reply node, etc. Whatever present in the message flow. It executes sequentially, means step by step from start to end here. Now let's understand about additional instances. It acts as a dynamic thread pool for the flow. In this diagram, you can see the thread pool with more than one thread here. Suppose your message flow is running with one thread, that is the default thread, only one. One message flow runs with only one instance and it is associated with one thread. Now you want to increase it to 5 threads, total 5 threads. In that case, you have to increase by 4. 4 additional instances you have to create, 4 plus the default one, 5. So in that case, what happens? If there are load in the transaction, then that will be handled using the additional instances. Those instances run parallelly. Here is the important point about the message flow. We can have maximum 256 additional instances for a message flow. In that case, total becomes 256 plus 1, that is the default one. Total 257 instances can run for each message flow, that is the maximum. Instances can be pre-created or on demand. Now let's see how to configure these additional instances. These are the two methods. One is using the bar file, the other is using web user interface. First, let's see how to configure the additional instances using the bar file. If you open the bar file and go to the workload management tab, you can find this option here, additional instances. Here you can put value that should be less than or equal to 256 here. If you put more here, 257, it will not work. The message flow deployment will fail. You can see one more checkbox here, that reads here, start additional instances when the flow starts. When this checkbox is clicked, it creates the instances immediately and it is available in the thread pool. The other option is on demand. Instances are created only when needed. Here additional instances are 256, but this checkbox is not clicked. In this case, we are allocating 256 threads, additional threads, but it is not readily available. When the load increases, then this instances will be allocated to the message flow instance. Now let's see how to configure it using the bar file. I have opened IBM App Connect Enterprise toolkit. First, I'll create an application. New application. I will name this as thread pool testing 1. Finish. Now I'll create one flow here. Schema name I'll give it as com.nkp.training and message flow name is thread pool 1, thread pool flow 1. Finish. I'll just create a simple flow here. HTTP input and HTTP reply node, and I'll add the transformation node, the compute node here. I'm connecting the terminals. This becomes the flow logic. It connects from start to end. One instance will run sequentially like this. Now let's configure these values. Here I name this as thread 1, and here I'll just uncomment, copy entire message, nothing, it's just a pass through. Now we created one message flow, and for this I'll create a bar file. So if you check the bar file first, just let me create that bar file name. I'll name this as thread pool 1. This is the bar file name here. This is the bar file name. I'll add this application to this bar file. Now I'll build it. Now saved. So if you check this bar file, it contains application descriptor, compute node, and the message flow. If you click the message flow, go to the properties, and you can see the workload management. Here you can see additional instances. Currently it's 0. By default only one thread will run. When you deploy this without any additional instances, one instances will be active. So now I'll deploy this without additional instances. Later we will add this. Now I'll deploy it into iServer 1. I'll just drag and drop to the iServer integration server. It is deployed. Now I'll open the WebUI for this. Open web interface. iServer 1. This is the one we deployed. Thread pool 1. Open this. This is the message flow. Check the threads now. Here you can find the threads. Currently, additional instances is 0. We haven't configured it. Here you can see threads. These are total threads. Currently only one. That is a default one. No additional is added here. Threads demanded. The application demands this threads only one. Now this flow demands. Now threads in use, only one thread is used now. Now also you can see thread instances start immediately. It is false. So it is not starting immediately when you add the instances. Based on the demand it will do when it is false. Now let's go back to the toolkit and update the bar file with the additional instances. I will make it 5 here, or 4 instances I'll make additional. It becomes total thread is 5 in this case. 4 instances means. Now I'll save the changes, and here I'll make a checkbox enabled here. Start additional instances when flow starts. Now save it. Now I'll deploy this again to the iServer 1. It is deployed. Now I'll go back here and refresh the page. Now let's check the properties. Now the additional instances is 4. Now let's check the threads. Now total threads becomes 5. 4 plus 1 is 5. Here you can see threads capacity. It is 4. We are allocating 4 more. The capacity is there. 4 more. It is telling. Then threads demanded. It's 1. Threads in use. It is 5. Because we selected this checkbox. This checkbox. That's why it's available, readily available now in the pool. Else it will be allocated when the demand comes. The demand is only 1 now, but still its 5 is in use. So let's do the other option now. I'll go back. Here I'll uncheck this and save the changes and deploy the bar file again. Deployed. Now I'll go back to the WebUI. Now let's refresh this. This should change now. Threads in use here. Let's go back. This is same. Additional instances 4. Here you can see threads in use here. It is 1 now because only 1 is required now. Demanded is only 1. That's why it is giving only 1 from the pool. Complete is not allocated. Same way total threads becomes 1 now here. This way we can configure the additional instances using the bar file.